Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another edition of After Dark. So we're going to be talking about episode 2 of season 2 of Dark, and getting right into it. Let's take a look at the topics that we have.
The first note that I wrote is Enos is a cunt. So, right, she dressed him in those awful clothes. Like, I was like, well, maybe it's the times. But then they showed him on the the playground at school in that lot, and none of the other boys were like, the shorts are too small. She put him in those awful, like, strappy sandals things with socks, and the short baby Daisy Duke shorts. I don't know what that was about. And that ridiculous book bag. I don't know where he was going.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely questionable. Especially with like certain things that get revealed in later episodes. Although, actually, something that you said during the episode is that, like, there is truth in that. Who knows what would have happened to him if she hadn't, like, stepped up and decided to adopt him. So, I don't know. It's a tough call.
He definitely would have still been in, like, foster care or something.
Yeah.
And
which oftentimes is much worse.
Later on in the episode, he asks her, like, do you think God has a plan? And it's like, if she had had children and or, like, a husband or something, she may not have been in a position to take him in.
Yeah.
So it was kind of fortuitous for him that he ended up there. But later on in the season, for those of you who've watched, we know that she does some questionable things in regards to Nicole.
The thing that bothered me about, like, what she said to him in this episode, though, is that, like, in the first season when, she's, like, taking care of him in the hospital and whatnot, and he, it says, like, I'm from the future, blah, blah, blah. And everybody else thinks that, like, he's crazy. She treats him like he's not crazy in order to, like, build rapport with him. And I think she actually gave him, like, a comic book or something that had to do with time travel. Mm-hmm. I don't like that, like, she seemed to have, like, made it appear that, like, she was accepting of, like, what it was that he was saying then. But then, like, now in this episode, she's like, no, we talked about that. It's like, not real anymore. Like, now she's acting like he's crazy. That seems like a bait and switch to me.
Well, not just that, but obviously he had parents somewhere, whether they're in the future or not. Like, maybe that's just his coping mechanism. Like, she could have asked him, like, oh, so how would your mom be? Like, I think it would have been helpful to talk about it instead of acting like it never happened.
It almost seemed like she was, like putting on an act, making him think that she was okay with the whole thing in order to, like, reel him in, only to, like, flip the script later on once she had actually, like, adopted him. So I don't like that. Mm-hmm. That kind of irritated me, the way that she was acting towards him.
Jonas uses that Discman, and he plays Elvis as a decoy. And I just thought it was interesting because I was thinking, like, man, like, this, CD players are old today. Like, last time I saw a CD player was probably like 15 years ago. So if this is 2053, that Discman has to be like 60 years old. Like, where did it come from? Like, I get it, it's the future and everything, but that's like a real relic. Like, not a 2020 relic. That's a early 90s relic. So I just thought it was interesting, like, that's what they use. Like, and not like an MP3 player or something. Maybe something a little bit more modern.
I don't know. I mean, like, part of me is thinking, the writers never put anything in the show unless it has a purpose. So, like, maybe it has, like, some greater meaning that we just don't understand fully yet. But on the other hand, I mean, like, there's record players that, like, still work today. You know what I mean? Well, I don't know.
Well, record players and vinyls are a little bit different. Like, they've remade machines that play records. Yeah. My mom has one. Plays records, and it plays, I think, does it play CDs or does it just play records? But they don't make, portable CD players anymore. Like, what? Like, who's listening to that? If I saw somebody with that, I would just be, like, so confused. Like, did you come through a time machine?
It did look, like, really banged up, though. I mean, like, the top was missing, and there was, like, duct tape on the back and shit. I mean, it didn't look like it was in good shape. It
but clearly for 60 years, it was in pretty good shape.
It was clearly battle scarred, is what I'm saying now.
Not for 60 years, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, it looked like it would be old.
It's plausible though that like if you raided enough houses though, you could possibly find one in like an attic somewhere, in like a box, like a, you know what I mean, like a cardboard box. Like that doesn't seem far-fetched to me.
I guess.
I mean, my point is that like if you, it's the apocalypse. I mean, if you like raided enough houses, it's not super
I'm sure
far.
there's one in my house.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like super far-fetched to me that if you like went into enough attics like and looked through enough cardboard boxes, like you'd find something like that. I mean, there's probably stuff that's even older than that. You know what I mean?
So Noah runs into Mikkel by the caves, and this is where the initial does God have a plan for us conversation occur. Noah is very insistent that God does in fact have a plan, even if it doesn't seem like he does. And I was just wondering, is that something like he asked later Enos the same question? Is that something that he holds on to? Like, is that what keeps him saying, like, this is the plan, like I have to be here?
Yeah, so I mean that was like a really interesting conversation for a bunch of different reasons. First of all, he, like when Mikkel says, I know you, you know, we had that conversation about God at the hospital, yada yada. When he questions Noah and says like, what if God has no idea what he's doing? Noah gets like almost mad at him and like approaches him and vehemently like insists like God doesn't make mistakes, which is very interesting because in the last season he has a similar conversation with Helga, like when they're in the time machine room.
That's like his shtick.
And he says exactly the opposite. He's like, there is no God. God has no plan, yada yada yada. Remember like when he was like poking him with the screwdriver?
Why would he tell him that?
Exactly.
I'd have to see that.
Completely the opposite. Completely the opposite of what he said to Mikkel.
Maybe when we're done rewatching season 2, we can rewatch season 1.
Sure. So that was the one thing I found really, really interesting. Also, just, I mean, the like double or triple meaning of what he said to Mikkel when he's like, oh, shouldn't you be in school? And when he doesn't respond, he goes, ah, I see. Many of us don't know exactly where we belong. Which, you know, can be interpreted so many different ways. Noah's a fascinating character. He's one of my favorite characters for sure. So that was a great conversation.
One of old Claudia's quotes, she says, in the end, life is just a collection of missed opportunities. And that really resonated with me because my mother's motto is nothing beats a fail but a try. So it's
kind of the same message.
Yeah, like I don't want to have a collection of missed opportunities when I look back on my life. So, like, I mean, it's okay to fail. It just means you tried. Better than not trying at all, I think.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a really nice.
And that's actually like an ongoing theme from the show is like them all sort of like regretting things that they did earlier on in life and trying to fix it by going back in time and changing it.
Yeah.
And screwing it up even more.
Time travel's dodgy that way.
Yeah.
Baker.
Charlotte's grandfather, the author of A Journey Through Time. So I think that he maybe was one of the initial members of the Travelers, like this whole group that Adam like founded or whatever, and with like Noah and all that stuff. And I think that he realized how like bad of an idea it is to abuse this technology and defected.
Yeah, you totally forgot about how Claudia brings him that book, the book that he never wrote but apparently writes in the future. Like his whole role is just the book and the machine. I don't think he ever actually uses it himself.
But he's the one who invented that machine.
Technically, Claudia brought him the machine.
But he had the blueprints already drawn, he just hadn't done it yet.
No,
that was the whole reason why Jonas comes to him in the first season and says, I need to have a conversation with you about time.
No, I'm pretty sure Claudia brings him the machine first. And then she shows it to him. She said, I need you to fix this. And he was like, why do you think I can fix it? Because you built it. And he was like, what? And, oh, by the way, you wrote this book too. What?
Well, that goes into the whole...
He tells
what's
someone...
What's the name of the...
Wait, he tells someone, I can't remember who he's talking to, that he feels like a fraud because all those things were given to him before he actually does it, including the machine. I can't remember but you remember him saying that, don't you?
No.
He says to someone, I can't remember, someone comes to the shop and he's like, I'm supposed to give you this. I was told I was supposed to give you this. I feel like a fraud. Like, yeah, I wrote this book, but technically it was given to me, so I don't know which one came first. So I don't think his role. I don't think he ever actually travels anywhere. It doesn't seem like it from what he says.
I mean, the reason why I think that he was one of the travelers originally is because, like, A, he's the only one who we've seen, like, any example of whatsoever who, like invented or, like, came up with the concept
But he
for the
didn't.
technology.
Technically. It's like a chicken or the egg thing.
Right, exactly. But, like, nobody else within the travelers do, and then he's not a member of them. So, like, how is it that, like, he just has this machine, like, over here, like, on the side that can travel through time?
He doesn't. Claudia brings it to him.
But who created those blueprints to do it?
That's the whole thing.
That's the thing.
It's an endless loop, and it's not. And for him, the scientist, maybe there was when it initially started. He closer, as the '80s approached, he made the machine and he wrote the book, which kind of helped spearhead things. But at this point, because it keeps looping around, like he feels distant from that whole thing.
And also, in season 1, when Jonas first comes to him and says, like, I need you to build this machine for me, he gets, like, horrified and, like, orders him out. Remember? He's like, this isn't done yet, and you need to build it for me. And he's like, you need to leave right now. Maybe. He is, like, visibly disturbed. Why would he be like that?
Because maybe Claudia told him
possibly
something. Like, she warned him about it. Like, well, don't help him because you have to help me.
That's possible.
She's been running back and forth telling people what to do for a while.
Yeah, she's like...
If I had to guess, I'd say it was Claudia.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good theory.
Or it could be Otherworld Jonas raising hell and scaring people. Like, who knows?
Who knows?
I want Elisabeth's people in the future turn on her. She's clearly a lying-ass bitch. So this came from right before she hangs Jonas. After she shoots him in the leg, he's telling them, like, there's no paradise. She's lying about beyond the wall. And he's the, like, at least the second or third person to say that. Like, the French guy earlier in the first episode. It's like, maybe they didn't understand French, I don't know, but they understand Jonas. And she's not the only one with a gun, with a machine gun. And if that was me and I was out there, I'd be like, wait a minute. She is kind of suspicious with that whole wall thing. I wonder what's over there. Like, I wouldn't... Like, she keeps killing people who are trying to warn them. And they just keep standing there letting it happen like a bunch of dummies.
So, something... actually, Mom brought this up when you were upstairs. I mean, since she grew up in the apocalypse, she would know who Jonas was in that form. Well, because he was 16, like, when she was a little girl. In that same form.
I believe she knows who he is.
I think the only reason why she shot him down is because she knows who he is.
Yeah.
If it was anybody else, he would have ended up like the Frenchman. Just let him fucking...
She remembers... I do think that she remembers him.
Yeah. She changed her mind at like the last second. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, I can't do this. I know this guy.
That's why that girl with the scar, who I'm pretty sure is her daughter, is like, why didn't she kill you? Jonas should have been like, because we went to school together. Damn!
Yeah.
Or
that's what they were getting at for sure.
We're friends with her sister.
Yeah, because she's like, she just hung like 2 dudes like the other day ago, and then all of a sudden, like now she's like cutting down like you. I mean, like, you guys know each other, right? Like, that's what she's thinking.
Yeah.
So, that'll be an interesting storyline to see in the future as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like our content, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also like the Facebook page. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you think about this video, topics you'd like us to cover in future videos. Thanks again for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.